J squared in consulting, bananas in disguise. We'll systemize and strategize and help your profits rise.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking, J1?
I think I am, J2.
Mate, it has been a wild week for the world. So many crazy things happening, particularly over in the States right now. To the point where I can't tell if things are satire or not.
It's so fucked up, man.
I have seen some posts about Charlie Kirk, a guy that's, I don't agree with everything he says, but I think he's a really good debater. And I had to double check the other day. I'm like, am I reading a Betoota Advocate article? I genuinely couldn't tell. That's how crazy some of the takes are on this whole situation. And funnily enough, like last week, I saw that old News Corp is looking to buy them, and I thought that is an interesting conversation to have, and we should have it today.
They're going to be making absolute bank out of that. If News Corp has made a unsolicited approach to buy them, that's going to be a very big dollar amount for them to sell.
Yeah, how do you think they'll do it? Because
by the way, we should also explain what the Betoota Advocate is. If you don't love your bit of internet satire, they're like a satirical newspaper which just comes up with funny shit. I'm going to read out some of their
give us some of the best ones.
Some of their titles. They're literally the best part about the Betoota Advocate is the title. The articles themselves are shit, but the titles are great. Woman returning from holiday, grateful she can finally have normal bowel movements again. Kiwi man still reeling from the toughest 3 hours of his life. They must be after them losing a footy game. Jacinta Price sacked from the front bench after demonizing the wrong brown people. Israel makes the mistake of bombing a country that's hosted a World Cup. So they got some pretty spicy titles in there.
The Betootas, it's pretty much an Aussie one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think like is it the Onion that does?
US? Yeah. Same sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. The Betoota is the Aussie version of the Onion, then. Okay. Yeah, I'm curious. Like, so we saw a post that they posted up. They posted it up as almost mocking the attempt, but News Corp is our Murdoch, our big Fox News or whatever here in Australia, looking to buy out these guys, and it's funny because they made it out to be a joke, but at the same time, it's like, would you take the cash and run?
Well, they said that. I noticed in the post. I'm not sure if we can bring up the Facebook post somewhere.
I'll get it up.
Yeah, if you get it, that'd be awesome. But they said that what do they call it? The orcs are knocking at the gate or something like that. And then they said that they would be sending it to the board to consider if it would actually happen. So who knows if they're going to go through it with it or not. I mean, like if you're Betoota Advocate, right, and you're in a position where, like, isn't it a crazy story of how much a niche can matter? Like, who would have thought that I think they started in like mid 2010s. I remember reading it when I was at uni, and it started popping up a bunch then because they had a heap of cricket memes and footy memes and stuff. And who would have thought that in 2010 you could make an online newspaper and actually make it profitable and do very, very well out of it? It's just because they chose the perfect niche for it.
Yeah, and that's it's interesting whether like part of that deal is like they just get completely bought out, or they got to like, do they have then an ongoing creative capacity, or is it just take money and run? Because if I'm that, I'm taking the money and run. Like,
100%.
Imagine getting a payday and like this would have to be, eight figures plus. We're talking, but like I'm taking that money and getting out. Like I've turned a hobby of me making memes into an actual job, into an exit. Like it doesn't get time to enter the real world,
Totally. I was looking at here too. It's like, well, okay, how much money they're actually going to get for this thing? So I was just reading here the ways that they actually have their revenue channels are advertising and sponsored content, podcast and event sponsorships, a bit of merch, and some media partnerships. But in terms of their reach, they've got on their
like the estimates on
What was that? Sorry.
About 1.5 million followers from
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
Corp.
on Facebook. Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
And then they've got other stuff on Instagram. They've probably got Twitter and stuff like that too. And they'll get a bunch of reach on that. I'm not sure how much it is. But they reckon 2 million to that onto their website as well per month. And they've got a podcast where they get 100,000 downloads an episode. So I don't know how you could, gauge revenue off that. It'd be pretty difficult. But
Yeah.
chat here is saying they're likely in the low to mid 7 figures, a few $1,000,000 a year type thing.
Yeah.
On
I
a
wouldn't-
relatively low cost base business.
Just a couple of dudes writing articles.
Yeah.
So, News Corp's perspective. Why would you buy Betoota?
To be frank, fucked if I know. Like, are they looking to go and is it the amount of trust that Clancy and Errol have? They're the blokes that write. I think that there's still
So the names Clancy and Errol.
Clancy
Sure.
Clancy overall and Errol Parker. Yeah.
Surely that's the biggest joke they've ever made.
Yeah, totally. They've got a TV show too.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Betoota Advocates. It's on Paramount Plus. That's hectic.
I didn't know that. If I look at it like, why would News Corp want to buy these guys?
Yeah.
Right. We've seen successful purchasing of things like this in the past. A couple to name a few, like South Park just got, $1.5 billion.
That was insane.
Speaking
And
of
then you see
Charlie
that
Kirk.
first episode of South Park?
Yeah, mate, it's awesome.
They got Trump fucking Satan.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of that, of Charlie, they had to pull that episode off the air.
Did they? What did they do?
Oh, they were having Cartman mock Charlie Kirk and he was debating people.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, the guy found it hilarious. Like, he's like, this is great. I've made it. I'm on a South Park episode. But I think they respectfully, pulled it off the air to stop that whole conversation happening
That's
around
good
them.
taste. Yeah.
Stop being accused of shit, I'm sure there's some conspiracy theory saying Trey Parker was the shooter or something wild like that,
Yeah.
But, Joe Rogan, he sold to Spotify for, what, 200 mil?
Yeah, contract for 100, 200 mil, something like that.
Something like that.
So I get that, because they're just the amount of engagement they have. I mean, okay, so going back to your first question, why would they buy? I mean, it's just because of the amount of viewers and the uniqueness of those viewers and the trust within those viewers that you have. These niche things that come up where you've got a couple of key figures, particularly in media, are super powerful. Because let's be real, nobody. I shouldn't say nobody because there are some people that are a little bit silly, but virtually anyone with half a brain doesn't listen to mainstream media anymore because we all know it's all shit. Whereas all the trust has moved onto these individual creators instead.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I thought about this, right? And so I thought it'd be interesting to discuss. I think there's two key reasons. One is the demographics of people that listen to the Betoota and not the people that are going to buy, the newspaper.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's impactful for two reasons. Right. One is if you're seeing those typical news outlets, their user base will be declining over time, particularly with age. Right. So for investment, so for longevity in those companies, they need to bring on users in those younger demographics, build a user base so that they have continued revenues into the future. Second thing is that, are you, depending on the type of company you are, the person that's going to advertise with them, they've now put that into a box, right? Because if you're, say, Nike, you're probably not going to advertise in any News Corp sort of any of that stuff because it doesn't have the user base.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if they can show we have viewers of these demographics, it opens up a large marketing channel where they can get on more deals to put advertising into that. So I think having that availability for a larger spate of clients when they want to launch products with them,
Totally.
probably getting anyone that targets Gen Z or those younger demographics. So I think one, it's the longevity with company, and two, the marketing channels, because they're probably limited in the type of clientele that they can take on for advertising right now.
And they're smart. News Corp are smart. Anyone that makes out corporates are dumb. Yes, they do silly things every now and then, but these guys they're the best of the best. And they recognize how hard it is to go and create a new brand. Like, you just can't do this. It is so hard to create a new brand.
Mm.
For every one Betoota Advocate, there's like 100 different ones. I mean, it's the reason why we're not, we're looking to buy stuff, buy businesses instead
Yeah.
of going and starting them ourselves, because that starting up, that initial traction is the most difficult thing that you can do.
Yeah, and I think they'll probably get them doing a podcast because
They have a podcast.
I might be wrong in this. Yeah, I believe it was News Corp that did the listener app, and they shifted a lot of their radio, like Triple M and that, onto the listener app.
Didn't know that.
I believe it's them because I have I know someone who works for. I can't remember if it's News Corp as the top co or not. But yeah, it's like, so I think for the guys, it's like whether they're going to just acquire them and just put new people in making articles, or it's like, hey, you guys stay on and maintain the brand integrity.
Yeah.
Because there is, in this instance, like things can go wrong very,
I
very.
think they'd have to stay on. There's no way. Like, if they're literally, I mean, with Betoota, and if you look at them, and if we bring up a photo of the website and just scroll through, you can see it's all about them. Like, most of the articles are still
Yeah.
written by them. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I remember reading it back then. Clancy and Errol, like, were the two guys that were doing it when I was reading this thing, 10 years ago. And you can see that, the podcast is them. Everything's about them. It's essentially a personal brand around two blokes that, talk shit.
I think, like let's say you're someone like me that'll probably still look at the headlines. I don't have that connection to the owner, so I think it could.
The quality of the headlines, like, because they're really funny, quirky, witty Australian humor. I got a different question for you. If you were Betoota Advocate, would you want to be bought out by News Corp? And
Well-
I'd say that with, you put it in, you're in their shoes. You built this thing from nothing. They started off on Facebook back in the day, just putting up, funny posts, and their website was literally nothing. They would do a couple articles a week. Now they got hundreds or thousands. Would you want to have that corporation's tentacles coming in and telling you what you can and can't say?
Well, it's legacy, right? Like, and this is where I think like you guys like Joe and that. So Joe did really good, and he, as part of those contracts, protected his right to produce whatever content he wanted.
Totally.
Right. So it depends on the red tape, right? It also depends on like how much they individually care about their legacy.
Yeah.
If it's me, I built this thing, and it's a satirical something. Yeah, I don't care. Burn it down. Like, give me the millions, right? Like, if I've built something that is potentially like beneficial to people's lives other than just giving them a laugh, let's say I built something where it has medical use and I've been able to keep that cheap so people can access it. In that instance, nah, probably not.
Yeah.
Right. So for these guys, yeah, mate, I'd say give me the money. What do you want me to write? Here's my latest one. Rupert Murdoch is the best person I've ever met.
Totally.
Like, mate, on the knees for all I care, right?
Yeah. I really do want it, because they're actually what's interesting about these guys is they're somewhat politically savvy, and I think they seem to be a bit left leaning in that way. So I do wonder if they would go for it, just because if this is their way of influence and whatnot, it's going to be a little bit harder. But I totally agree. It's like, depends on what you actually care about.
Depends what you care about. Like, I don't know. Again, how they politically lean. I know they attack both sides of the party, so that's always neutral. I'm
Yeah.
sure people lean to one side.
Totally.
It's whether or not like the News Corps and that have the same political ideologies. That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, well, that's what's getting weird with a lot of these big corporations, is like, with all the new DEI coming in, a lot of their moves are not necessarily purely financially motivated. DEI is like diversity, equity, inclusion. It's much bigger in the States than it is over here, thankfully. Although it's pretty big here. There's a lot of, woke stuff that goes on here that, is happening, which is causing a lot of these big companies to move away from just being profit focused into being activism focused, which I'm not a fan on. I don't know why people think that companies need to be, inverted commas, good. Like, and I'm not saying like good as in, like, I'm not saying they should be bad. Like, yeah, go be Mr. Burns and go poison all the water. I'm saying just, it's not like you have to be outwardly good and changing the world and saving the world. Just go make your money. Like, that's what you're here for.
Yeah, I think that has more to do with like the CEO's cares about that.
Yeah.
and more to do with the fact that, same thing as longevity. You got to pander, like the younger generations, they care more about that stuff, and they're the future buyers for the next 60 years.
Yeah.
You get them offside, all of a sudden you're not making sales.
I
But
was talking with actually, funny, I was talking with their fund managers. These guys, they manage shitloads of money, and I was looking at them against and looking at the difference between ESG DEI stocks versus non. ESG has tanked. Like those stocks have absolutely fucking sucked, and we see this like
Yeah.
over and over. All the companies that focus, or most of the companies that focus on that, I'm sure there are exceptions to it, that focus on that stuff, tank. Like they always make bad decisions. Like, did you see there was a thing over in the US again, of course in the US, but there was a thing with Cracker Barrel, how they used to be an
Changed the
old time
logo.
brand. Did you see
Yeah.
it? And they changed the logo. They spent, I think it was 70 million on changing this logo or more. 70 million. These corporates, man, are just terrible. And
Yeah.
they spent 70 million and they just changed the logo by removing an old man who was the founder of Cracker Barrel. They took him off and then just had chuck the logos up side by side. 70 million for that. And they tanked their stock price because people
Mate,
shit with it.
get me a slab. I'll get it done in the Arvo.
Yeah.
But you know what's more crazy to me is that the change of something so minor, because I do know what you're talking about. I haven't looked at it in huge detail.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's racist that they did that somehow, but it's crazy to me that how that can affect their stock price because of like a bit of cancel culture.
Yeah, and people are just so sick of
Like, why is it a problem?
and it goes both ways. And I think you got to understand who your brand is. With like Betoota Advocate, if they started pushing hard right stuff, politically,
Lose people.
they just lose people, and start campaigning against that. It's like the same thing. Like, know your audience. If your audience are woke and you're making money out of them, go be as woke as you need to be. Dye your hair pink, get a shitload of piercings, get that rainbow flag everywhere. Or if your audience aren't woke, then don't start doing woke things. It's like pretty basic.
Yeah, probably don't use Dylan Mulvaney to advertise Bud Light.
Fuck, wasn't that hilarious? Like, what a cock up. You're literally choosing like the working class man's beverage, and you go put a dude who is transgender on that. So we know that people from that particular area of society, particularly in the US, aren't fans of the whole trans movement and the woke movement.
But they also didn't like weigh up. Okay, we might be able to take a 0.1% chance, a 0.1% larger market share by advertising to this audience, but at the same time demonizing the 70% that we already have. Right? It's just like, someone do the fucking math, please. Like, did you not run MPV models? Like, who is the guy that ticks this off? Like, you are out of your mind.
Like with those crazy decisions, and this could also feed into why News Corp's trying to buy Betoota. So when things a lot of this comes back to loans and structuring deals. Like, for example, we had someone quite close to me was having a convo with ScoMo. I was like, why'd you sign the climate change deals, the climate accord or whatever it was? And ScoMo was like, I had to. Because if I didn't do that, I wasn't going to get XYZ loan, which would have meant that we'd have to pay huge interest rates and all the downstream effects of that. So best thing that I could do in the situation was this. And a lot of these decisions are based around, still comes back to money, not necessarily corporates trying to look good, but also access to loans, because there are a lot of programs that promote cheaper loans in exchange for doing activism related things throughout corporates.
Yeah. So like a lot of, particularly here, like super funds, like you mentioned ESG earlier, they do have ESG incentives. So, the way that the banks achieve their ESG targets, like they can't, like a bank isn't going to go and plant fields of trees to reduce their carbon tax.
Yeah.
Right. But what they can do is that they can give reduced interest rates if the people they lend to hit ESG targets, and that's their part. Right.
Yeah.
So there's like a, if a lot of like large loans are structured that if ESG incentives are hit, they'll get a 0.25% deduction in interest rate.
It's funny you bring that up on the banks doing it. So I was talking with a company, and they facilitate carbon credit things. They've got there's other cool ones.
We're speaking about that.
Credits, Caswari credits, yeah. Really interesting company, super interesting company. So pretty much a bank goes and launders $10 billion of cartel money, right? And they say, oh no, you caught us. What could we possibly do to make this thing right until I do it again the next time? And then they go out and they'll go buy $10 million and put out a big PR stunt saying, we're saving the cassowary. You go buy 10 million of these credits, marketplace goes and facilitates the exchange, and then some bloke goes out and builds a cassowary breeding program, right? It's hilarious how these things are just so shallow. But out of that, fuck, would the world be a better place with a few more cassowaries? Maybe.
And I think like that's the important thing of doing it, right? Is like, do the people care? No. Does it matter? Not really, because it's getting done. Well, at
Totally.
least something positive. Does it outweigh the negative? Probably not, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Laundering money for the cartel, offsetting it with cassowaries. Yeah, I guess you could. I mean, how many cassowaries do you have to save in order to launder one cartel dollar? Like, what's the ratio here? Are we talking one cassowary to $10,000 of laundering? I'm not sure.
They are. Correct me if I'm wrong. They are like the peacocks that are just wearing a helmet. Yeah. Yeah, with the headbutt. Yeah, and it's
they kill
shovel. Yeah.
people every now and then. I was
Yeah.
looking at that as I was researching it, and yeah, they killed some. It's been a while, but like if you mess with them, they will actually kill you.
It's like if a emu fucked a peacock, right?
Yeah, and put a helmet on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. Anyway, we're way off topic, right? So yeah, Betoota, like there.
I'm right. That thing we were talking about. Yeah.
There's a couple of things that can happen here, right? They could take the money. Their audience goes, "You fucking sellouts. We're out of here." Right? And then it's a terrible purchase for Thingo. Or they can stay on, they can negotiate like, no, we control our content and we will make fun of you whatever we want and you can't pressure us to change it. In that case, better deal for News Corp, but will they allow it? Who knows? They're a corporate entity. So
I think that the whole idea, and I don't understand why corporates get so precious about this. If someone mocks you or makes fun of you and you go along well with it, nobody cares, within reason. Like, I mean, even if you mocked HSBC for laundering cartel money, I don't think that, like, it's not like people are going to stop banking with HSBC. It's not going to stop working with them. You know what I mean?
it's the whole what's his name? Woody Harrelson meme where he's like wiping his tears with like the $100 bills.
Yeah.
I saw this like really good meme pop up from this guy I started following the other day. It was such an ironic thing. If we go back to our Qantas thing, podcast that we did, I'm like, this would have been perfect. As we're editing, I might actually insert it. So we can cut this out of here, but it's funny, so I'm going to tell you. They had there's a meme, I'll find the meme if I can, where the guy's like looking out the window, and he's like talking to himself, but it's another person, he's just playing himself. And he goes, so, how much did we, fine Qantas for their breaches? And he goes, $90 million. He goes, it's the biggest record fine that we've ever given in Australia to a corporate company. And he's like, still looking out the window. He's like, that's weird. And how much did Qantas say that they were going to save by doing this? He goes, $500 million. He's like, this is weird because all the Qantas executives are out there in the car park hugging each other and high-fiving. And he's like, don't you think the fine should be worse than what they were actually set to make? Otherwise, we're not really punishing them. Anyway,
crazy.
the level of irony, I was like, yeah, it should be.
Man, I feel for like some of these government guys. So like there's such an imbalance between the government and the corporate.
Yeah.
So big. I've worked with a couple on the other side, like worked, against with other companies with some government employees. And, I've got some pretty high level guys at work that I work with, and seeing my guys who've been in corporate world working with these guys who are in government, it is like, holy shit, there is such a massive skill gap. There is such a massive skill gap between a person on $1 million a year and someone on $200 or $200,000 a year in government. Like these guys who are like getting paid the big bucks, they are seriously seasoned and impressive to watch. These poor little government people think, oh yes, we fined them 90 million. And the executives have just like let them have this, what they think is massive win and just
Exactly.
profited 400 million in profit.
Again, wiping the tears off them like,
Totally.
oh no, you gave us this fine.
You
Yeah,
know, dude,
I will
I
not
don't
do
think
that
anyone
again.
gives a shit about. I don't think anyone really genuinely cares about things that actually do good for the world. And I'll tell you why. Is because even after a company has laundered cartel money, has had ties to slave labor like Nike, you know, all these companies who do these things, which are really questioned. I mean, Apple had to put suicide nets in their factories to stop their workers from killing themselves, right? And fuck, guilty as charged. Like, I just genuinely don't
Might
think
as well
that.
just push them, mate. That's
What was that?
said you might as well just push them.
Yeah,
That's
literally, I feel like a prick as as I'm calling myself out, but I genuinely don't think that we care about things that are actually good as long as they're like extended just enough away from us so that we don't see it or feel it. We'll continue with the exact same consumer behaviors.
yeah. Couple degrees separation and then you're fine. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, so like I think I thought about this and there is like a couple of really good stories where this process has worked out well.
Mm.
I mean, it's worked out really good for every party. And then I'll give an example where it didn't. Okay, so I think I come back to Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not a huge listener to him. I had a flight over the weekend, so I listened to an episode with Charlie Sheen that just come out, just because I find Charlie Sheen hilarious and it seems like it'd be a super interesting conversation.
Great show.
But like I might listen to an episode if there's a specific guest that I find interesting in, and I have extra time, right? But I don't listen religiously. I'd listened more in the past when I was younger, but I don't see, and I could just be, simping for Joe or whatever. I don't see him as a sellout. I congratulate him for making a huge deal. I don't see any change in his content, at least not in that. Talks about what he wants when he wants. Um, that changing from YouTube. Do I care? No, not really. I have Spotify and pay for it anyway. Great that I don't have to watch this whole thing on video from YouTube as long as I can listen to it. Awesome. Cool.
Totally.
I'm not paying for YouTube Premium. I think it's a bit of a joke to be able to close my phone and continue to listen. Like, man, I don't got that much battery. Have you seen iPhones these days? This thing's been dropped more than a basketball, all right? And so that's obviously worked out well. And I think that is due to because he was so big that he had he walked into that negotiation where he was the more important party, right? Because he could go to Apple, he could go to anyone and be like, mate, match these guys' deal, and they'll say yes, right? So I think that he had the power to negotiate, the ability to say whatever the fuck he wants. And that's important.
100%. I totally agree. I'm just trying to bring up now how much Spotify made on Rogan, but they made that money back like instant. Like it was incredibly quickly. Here we go. It's just came up now. So he did his first deal in 2020 for 100 million plus. It might have been closer to 200 million over 3 to 3.5 years, and they did another extension up to 250 million over a multi-year term, and includes revenue sharing, which is insane.
That's the big one, the revenue sharing, right?
Yeah.
Betoota, they ain't getting that.
Yeah.
No, they're getting paid out and they're getting locked in salaries, I dare imagine, if they stay.
Yeah.
Right? Here's where it went bad. Barstool Sports. They
Yeah.
sold to what was it?
Gambling company.
The gambling company. I think it was a
Oh,
couple years
Barstool
later.
Sports is another American. They're like another like YouTube news style company where they did bits of news, but they did lots of lifestyle stuff, podcasting. You heard that filthy podcast, Call Her Daddy. You know, they had podcasters like them. They set up. There's another one called Sunday Conversations, I think it is, which is actually hilarious. They did a bunch of podcasts and they made a shitload of revenue out of that, and this gambling company bought them.
Yeah, I think they did a lot of like gaming streaming and stuff as well. I could be wrong on that, but anyway, the gaming thing took them because they wanted to extract all of like the revenue from those fields and sell people into gambling, like get people into, here's some cash, open this account, get them addicted, and just feed off them. Because those all like those gaming, like your Fortnites and I'm not much of a gamer, but all that shit, like it's there's huge like online gambling stuff based particularly around like the I think what they call them skins. I'm not a gamer, but I've watched
The
stories on
micro purchases, they're the
micro
biggest one.
purchases. Yeah,
Man, those gaming companies make
RNG.
bank. And dude, isn't that such a beautiful business model? Aside from the whole manipulative stuff,
Yeah.
I won't get into the ethics of it, but beautiful business model. You get people in for free, and then after that, you give them all these tiny little small upgrades they can purchase for $1, $5, $10, and you take them through this slow upsell, cross-sell process. It is amazing how well they've engineered those things.
I think what they've done though is like I'd call it the genius part of the business model. Ethical, no, not really, but from a business standpoint, pretty impressive. Is they basically just created online casinos with secondary markets,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of like call it like a loot drop or whatever. All the micro purchases which allow you get, it's all RNG. So for those like random number generated, I mean it's a random. You might get a 0.1% chance to get the rare item,
Yeah.
right? So people will start buying this, but they allow for secondary markets, right? So you can go and if you get the expensive one, you can go and sell it and make real money off it, right? So it creates an artificial market, and now people are buying, selling through there, but they're also purchasing these and essentially spinning it like slot machines, right? For the potential jackpot which is essentially a prize. It's just not cash. You can't walk into a casino because you're 14 years old, but you can put mum and dad's credit card in and start that cycle of becoming gambling addicts. And that later then revolves, and they go and buy gambling companies where it allows people to do that legitimately. So it's crazy, but they
They
were,
picked up the Barstool Sports acquisition in a big way. I mean, Barstool Sports, what did Portnoy sell it for? It was a few $100 million, I think it was, that he sold
he later bought it back for $1.
for $1. Yeah,
For
he
a
sold
dollar.
it for a few hundred million, bought it back for $1 because with the gambling company, they couldn't actually put any of their gambling ads into a bunch of sports. There was some rules around it. I don't know how they missed that. That's a bad mistake. But
Probably
they couldn't
changed later.
actually cross-promote it as effectively as what they thought they would, and Barstool just tanked.
I think there was huge issues with like them being pretty hyper corporate and the
Yeah.
Barstool guys not being able to integrate into that environment because they were just a bunch of dudes that play fucking games on the internet.
Yeah.
Right? That don't care. I've never had a real job. It's just some 16-year-old that was really good at Call of Duty or crushed it in Mario Kart, knew how to put the bananas out at the right time, and all of a sudden there was a market for that skill base, which yeah, would have been awesome. Like I played quite a bit of Mario Kart in my time. But yeah, so like that's where it can go wrong. And like that's where I think like particularly with like Betoota's audience, like man, they're not dealing with that shit. So if you
Totally.
come in and you're News Corp and you start demanding that the content change, that they tone it back, you start putting your corporate fingers over that and say, no, don't take this path. Let's keep it more woke. It's going to end up in Barstool. You give them the free reign to do what they want, pump
100%.
some money into it so they can hire more writers, they can get them they can increase that. It probably works out well. So it's really like it becomes a game of like, are they buying this to capitalize on it and use the guys to build a brand? One, do they care about building that brand? Is it within the legacy of what they want? Or are they just using it for corporate greed and they just want to extract what they can, take those users, use that data for other stuff
Totally.
and kill the brand? It's like you'd have to understand what the intention is from News Corp as to whether they would want to do a deal in the first place.
Yeah.
Or they can just go, you know what? Fuck it. Give me a couple $1 million. I'm out. I'm going to go start a podcast because you can't stop me from doing that. All my users are going to come onto there and I'm going to build a new brand.
Totally. And look, you'd hope. Look, people have done dumber things than that before, but you would hope if you're a News Corp that you're going to lock them in and get them to stay. I mean, even
Mm.
when we're looking, to buy companies, most of the time you want to have the founder stay. I mean, I had some people, talk to me about buying a company recently, and
Yeah.
they wanted to lock us in for like 3 years, come in underneath them, all that sort of stuff, and I was just like, no, that sounds fucking awful. You can't pay me enough to bend the knee. No way is that happening.
Yeah, I think this is like you give some really good examples of what this will end up being. It's like you go to your local cafe, you go and get your coffee there every day, you love the vibe, but they sell out to a franchise,
Yeah.
right? Same people, they've now got a better supply chain, they've got different signage, different marketing team, but will the coffee still taste the same? And if it doesn't, you're not going back. You lose all your customers. It's the same as same thing with the pub, you know? They slap a new sign on there, redecorate it, make it more fancy, get a better chef in. They stop cooking snitties, they start cooking filet mignon. It's like, yeah, cool. They've improved this place, but is the banter the same? And they're going to lose all the old customers. Like
Totally.
it's just I've gone blank on the word I'm looking for. Um, where you go in and you buy a whole bunch of shitty houses and start making them nice.
Gentrification.
Gentrification of the news community. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, are
Totally.
they, you know?
Totally. Yeah, it's a really cool way of looking at it. And speaking of, by the way, I actually looked it up. ChatGPT's been a bit slow for me today, but I looked up at how much did the Rogan deal. And like these deals, when you get them right, they can make a
Yeah.
big difference. You know that they jumped by increase in market cap for Spotify, right? After they promised Joe this $200 million deal was 1.7 billion within 23 minutes of the announcement.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
how much money they made. And then
What's
after that, there was another one, said that there was a $4 billion increase within a day of the announcement. So if you
mm,
get these things right, you can make a hell of a lot of cash. I mean, particularly in publicly traded companies. Let's say that News Corp, I'm not sure if they're publicly traded or not. I actually don't know. Probably are. But if they go and buy Betoota, then sometimes, yeah, cool, maybe they might make that much revenue out of it, but the share
yeah.
price, if that jumps enough, you're going to make a bucket load of cash.
Yeah. I can't see Betoota having such an impact on their share price, but yeah, for these bigger deals, absolutely. This is where you like, man, the insider trading comes in. Like, if you're a dude that knows Joe, like, man, imagine how many of his friends were going out
Buy
buying.
so much, hey.
Whew.
You can see Joe smoking up with all the boys beforehand, telling him to turn off the mic and say, by the way, buy Spotify shares.
Yeah. Well, I'd watch that episode. But yeah, like I think it's cool, man. Like I think that's awesome. And what I think is more crazy about this that fuck, dude, you can build any business and get a good deal. Like imagine that you just start writing shit. Like you're just making memes, really.
Dude, all they did was they started up a couple of blokes that are funny. They start posting a few articles on the internet, continually doing it. They've worked out how to create virality with the stuff that they're doing. They've worked out their audience. All of their articles are tailored to the same audience. They're just an amazing marketing effort. And in my opinion, that's the only thing that really matters at the moment. It's just how well can you understand your customer, how well can you position your product towards them, and how well can you market to those guys. If you do those three things, you win every time.
It's a super interesting one. I'll give you another example of who's crushed that. Uh, there's this guy. He used to play for the Brisbane Broncos. So apologies to anyone that's not Australian that listens. Dean and Camp started this podcast. It was called Bloke in a Bar. All right. I started following him because he opened up a podcast studio right around the corner from where Sale Snapper was.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time he'd moved down here for it because he had bigger plans. And I ran into him on the street one day. I was like, hey, we've got a podcast studio. You can come in here and film it. He's like, nah, it's in the middle of being built. Like, we've got all the episodes. Like, we don't need to, but we'll chat about it, right? And he went on and, like, there's good money in building the brand through that. But he made money from merch. But he also launched what's called Bloke Beer, right? Now, Bloke Beer, he's using that platform to sell the beer and since then has just been doing deals with like all your liquor agencies where he where he gets bloke beer stocked in there. He owns it all himself, owns all the distributor. He'll make way more money off beer, and he continues to do the podcast for the purposes that's his product placement, right?
Yeah.
And it's so on brand to Aussie dudes that love rugby league. I don't know any AFL ones to give example for the listeners.
But then Mick Fanning, the surfer, had
Okay.
can't remember the name of theirs, but they sold that for a whopping amount of cash. I think it was hundreds of millions they sold that for. He had a beer brand, same sort of thing.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Over 5 years. It
I'd
wasn't
met
long.
Fanning.
What's that?
I'd met Fanning. He was great.
Yeah.
He we had this guy. He was called the Sandhill Warrior back when I was with Melbourne Storm. He's just like this super old Aussie dude. His house up here in Sydney, it's just his whole house is just covered in sand, and it's just like like his backyard is just pure sand. He's dumped sand in there and put old gym sets. He was just like this motivation speaker, and he used to train Fanning. Who else did he train? What's the female that won Bells Beach a few times? I can't recall, but one of our biggest surfers, and he came and we used to do conditioning camps with him out in the sand dunes, and he just destroys.
Yeah.
And he'd bring out the bell from Bells Beach, and we were around at his house for a training session one day when we fly up here. Remember, we got belted this one night after a game. Got fucking belted. It was like 40-0 or some shit. Coach was pissed. He rings him up and goes, "Hey, we've cancelled our flight. We've got accommodation. We're bringing the bus around to your house. You're pumping them in the gym. Like, they don't deserve to get a good night's sleep. Just smash them. We need to fix the mindset." Anyway, Mick Fanning was at his house that day. it was cool. Yeah.
Cool as, man. I just
Yeah.
looked it up, by the way, as you were speaking, and 150, 200 million that he pocketed out of that. So I bet he was
That's
super cool, mate, because he was rich. He made a crap load of money out of it.
Yeah. This would have been, I reckon, 10 years ago. But
Yeah.
it was a fun guy to hang out with.
Yeah, good on him.
But yeah, I don't know. What would you do? Would you sell it?
You know, like with JCF, I debated. I for a while there thought I was going to be in JCF forever. That was the performance coaching business for everyone who's listening. I thought I was going to be doing that for the rest of my life until the day that I woke up and was like, nah, not anymore. So out of having that, I would say if it really mattered to me, like if I would either be, yes, I'd sell. And if I'm going to stay in, I'm going to have creative control. Or if I don't have creative control, I'm out. Like,
Okay.
like I'd sell and be done with it.
So if someone,
Sorry, one thing I learned is the moment you have that little idea, like, hey, I'm not liking this business as much as what I thought I would, fucking sell, get out. Because that is the point at which the business is worth the most amount of money, and everything after that, it gets worth less and less and less.
Yeah, and you're just catching a fallen knife at that point.
Perfect.
So
Would you?
Would I what?
You'd sell, wouldn't you? 100%.
Yeah, fuck it. Easy, mate. Like, I mean, I say that now, but I have no emotional connection to it, so it's easy to say, yeah, right? So, okay, you wouldn't sell JCF at the time because you feel like there's a legacy, all your clients have an expectation, you don't want to let them down type thing, right?
Not even that. I didn't think that I could sell it well, which is such a dumb mindset. You can sell anything. You just got to structure it the right way. I thought, I'm the brand here. Like, it's all reliant on me, yada, yada, all that sort of stuff, right? You can fix all of those problems. You don't need to make it all around you. You can spend a few months and fix it up. The other thing too that I thought was, I was, pretty cruisy. It was the time when we were working with you guys at Sales Sniper. I remember the month where I checked out, I think we profited like $100,000 that month. And I was like, profited $100,000. I was doing fuck all. Layla was a couple of months old. And I was at the beach like several hours a day, not doing a whole lot of work, come in and film a few videos. That's it. And that was kind of my life. And, it just kind of got a bit, I lost focus on the business and lost interest, I guess, at that sort of stage. And that was when it started kind of not going as well. And I just think, I should have just sold it at that point where it was very profitable and done what I needed over the course of 3 months to get that exit and then go to the next thing.
Sorry, I thought you were saying you wouldn't have.
I wouldn't have. No, I wouldn't have sold.
Without creative control. Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What number would it take you to do it without the creative control?
Man,
There's always a number, bro. There's always a number.
Okay, so before I had money, like me right now, don't give a fuck because I got to still walk down the street. And if I can't take my kids to school and, if I can't show my face in public or I feel shame or guilt or anything like that, just not worth it. But if I didn't have money, right, and my life wasn't as sweet as what it is right now, man, it depends how much in debt I was. If I wasn't very much in debt, I think there'd be a very, very low threshold for that, and I'd just get over the shame. So it really depends. Right now, look, would $1 billion change my life? Hell yeah, I'd fly private everywhere all the time. I'd have my own jet. So it would have to be an absurdly high number right now to do that. You, $20.
Mate, okay, let's just say if I'm Betoota and they're
Yeah.
offering me $1 million and saying, mate, well, you guys can do whatever you want, I'd probably say, yeah, I'll take it. If they
How
offered me,
much for them to say whatever they want with your name written on the article?
yeah, I never liked like that stuff happening where I would put stuff in and not get credited for it. I mean, to certain degrees. So again, it's hard to know with what it's worth, right? So let's just say it's a they're going to give me 1.2% EBIT for retaining creative control. I'd probably take 1.8 to say, mate, do whatever you want. In this instance, right?
Yeah.
It's how much of a difference that is. Maybe if
Yeah.
they're going to buy it for $1 million, it'd probably like give me 3 and mate, it's all yours. I'll work for you as a job for this period of time.
Totally. It's a funny thing when like having the personal brand built around you.
Yeah.
There are so many pros to it. I mean, it's such a good way to enter the market, such a good way to build trust. But when it's you and it's personal, it does make the exit challenging. Not necessarily because you can replace yourself. Like that's a whole, but it takes a bit of time, but you can.
Yeah.
The other thing is the bigger one is letting somebody else be using your name, be using this baby that you've built.
Yeah, that I don't really care about.
Gotta get over that.
Yeah, I'd get over it real quick. See, like, in this instance, I think it's like super easy for them just to bring on new writers. Like, I could find 10 people that could probably write articles just as good and just as funny as those dudes. Like, that's not hard to replace.
Yeah.
And I think if you did that slowly enough, where it started going from every article was the main writer to every second to every third to, hey, the feature article, like, I think it's a super easy transition for them.
Yeah, totally. If you do it slowly over time, find the right people, do it slowly. Speed's a big one. So when you try and do it, that's hard.
That's the thing, mate. Like you put the frog in the pot and start boiling it. You don't throw them in the boiling water.
100%.
Eventually, like it's the interesting thing, like unfair pricing practices. Like you look at petrol and shit. When there's no competitors, people will eventually just accept it because it is what it is, and you can gouge them all you want, right? That's the reality. As long as you do it slow and steady and customize them to what they need, it's
there's a 50-cent tax on petrol here.
no.
That 50 cents, right? They don't tell you that. It's the same thing with what the government does. They just like slowly creep it up, slowly creep that tax up.
Yeah. Oh, mate, they and I imagine like they probably make more money as soon as the government taxes it because they'll put the price up. It's because of the tax. Get angry at the government, not us. We're just humble oil barons. Like what? We won't do this to you.
You were saying the cigarette companies did the same thing. They made bank as soon as the government brought in all the big taxes.
Yeah, man. Because everyone just like everyone hates ScoMo or everyone hates fucking what's his name?
Albo.
Yeah. Like, but in Australia, like, it doesn't matter. Like, everyone hates the politicians. Like, none of them are trustworthy. I guess it's evident everywhere, but,
Totally.
Anyway, so, how good is it that someone can just start making memes and turn it into $1 million exit? That's awesome.
I love it. Best part about Australia. It's super cool.
Right.
And I hope they get paid 10 million plus. 15, 20, 50 million, whatever they can get. I hope they get as much cash as they can, should they choose to do it.
Well, thank you for that, guys. And are you thinking what I'm thinking, J1?
I think I am, J2.
That's the first intro of that today. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.